Let's dig in now to these two top stories. First, the explosive comments from freshman lawmaker Ilhan Omar, blasting former President Obama's hope and change message. Time for tonight's Power Panel. Democratic strategist Kevin Walling, the Daily Caller editorial director Vince Colonnese, and Sohrab Ahmari, the op-ed editor of the New York Post. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Shannon.
Okay, so listen, Congresswoman Omar has been in trouble for these anti-Semitic remarks. It's put the Democrats in disarray this week, but now it sounds like, although she's denying it, that she's been, taking some hits at former President Barack Obama, and obviously he's very beloved among Democrats. In Vanity Fair, they say this: Democrats didn't abandon Omar over her comments about Israel. Her criticism of Barack Obama is another matter. For some, those comments may prove to be more incendiary. Vince?
Can you imagine criticizing President Obama is going to be more incendiary than saying something anti-Semitic in the end for the Democratic Party? I mean, there's something sort of humorous. If this wasn't so crazy, it would be very humorous. Over the last week, the Democratic Party scrambled to completely defend Congresswoman Omar and to basically forgive her sins of sort of repeatedly suggesting that people have dual loyalty to the United States and Israel, that people are hypnotized by Israel, sort of anti-Semitic tropes she keeps trotting out and then asking for forgiveness for. And now she attacks President Obama, and perhaps the worst way possible as a Democrat, by suggesting that, well, he's basically President Trump, but he had a pretty smile and a nice face.
Yeah, there's some backlash tonight. Again, she's backpedaling on that, but she's produced tape. The reporter says he stands by it and he's got his own tape, and it pretty much sounds like the way that she was quoted and in context. And the Free Beacon, Matthew Continetti, writes this: Democrats are tripping over themselves, making rationalizations, dodging reality, and trying to clean up this anti-Semitic mess. Kevin, why is she getting such a pass from so many in the Democrat Party?
Yeah, sure, Shannon. I got to tell you, as a Democrat, I'm so sick and tired of hearing Congresswoman Omar this week because it's such a distraction from, you point out at the outset, the passage of the largest election reform bill today, some terrifying economic news in terms of our job report. But I got to say, I think you saw a united Democratic Party in that House caucus. Every single member voted to condemn any kind of anti-Semitism in terms of the way they operate in the Hill. I think you're seeing senior leadership pull her aside, that she is not a state representative in Minnesota anymore. She is on the world stage, and that her words need to be taken very much into consideration when she's making them, and to make sure that we are standing completely with our partners in Israel and condemning any kind of hateful speech that this representative is speaking.
And so, Rob, last night, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez said that she and Congresswoman Omar and Tlaib are being targeted as freshman women of color. She says they're getting unfair treatment, and that if you went after every bad thing that a congressman or woman did on the Hill, that everybody in Congress basically would be in trouble. Fair?
I don't think that's fair at all, Shannon. First of all, I just want to note it's remarkable and startling how much Ilhan Omar, frankly, the disdain she has for the country that we should note. It's the country that has given her family and herself refuge. She escaped war-torn Somalia, was a refugee in Kenya for 4 years, and then, thanks to a Lutheran church group, was able to ultimately immigrate to the United States. And I, as an immigrant myself, I have to note this constant disdain of her portrayal of the United States and its anti-terror policies under successive administrations, treating it as this sort of murderous country that cages children at the border and drones people, and not any similar criticism, I would say, of the Islamist groups, among them those that have turned Somalia, her homeland, into such a horrible place. Not one word of criticism, as far as I can tell. It's only directed at the country that has given her and her family refuge. It's not a perfect country, but I think it's startling, and it's, frankly, it's disgusting.
Well, Kevin, as you said, it has overshadowed something big that happened today with Democrats, which was passing H.R. 1. It's got the number 1 on the bill because it is their priority, and it's a massive sweep of talking about campaign finance reform and transparency. And I want to tell a little bit about it and then get you each to weigh in. Even the ACLU hates this thing. Here's what they say: that it will have the effect of harming our public discourse by silencing necessary votes that would otherwise speak out, voices that would otherwise speak out about the public issues of the day. They're teaming up with Mitch McConnell. I mean, I don't know how different that you could be. If I can have you each weigh in. I mean, it not only is going to force donors to disclose, but also there are going to be matching funds where taxpayers are going to have to pay for, essentially subsidize a lot of campaigns out there. So, Kevin, to you first.
Yeah, Shannon, I mean, the vast majority of Americans in this country want campaign finance reform. They supported McCain-Feingold earlier in the 2000s, and they want to clean up big money that has corrupted and corroded our politics without question. And there's a lot of great things in that bill, including security funds for our states in terms of the way that they carry out of our elections, transparency laws, ensuring that anyone who seeks the highest office in the country should be forced to release their tax returns, as every single president, going back to Nixon and Spiro Agnew.
Aimed at the current president.
Sure, absolutely. And there's a lot of questions in terms of foreign entanglements and the emolument clause. I think, Shannon, I think the important thing coming out of this is the House passed it and the Senate should at least take it up and debate it, which Mitch McConnell has refused to do.
They will not do. Vince, very quickly, I mean, the states say they should be able to run their own elections.
Yes, they should. And federalizing them is not a good idea in any way. And getting the more that you get the federal government involved, the less it is left to the discretion of the states, as it should be. I think importantly here, exposing donors in public to organizations that aren't doing political activities outright. They're just contributing to conversations about policy. Bad move. There's a reason the NAACP is against it. This dates back to the 50s, for instance. We saw the NAACP versus Alabama. The Alabama wanted to expose all of the donors to the NAACP, and the Supreme Court ruled against that for good reason. You don't want that kind of thing. You don't want people intimidated for being able to voice their opinions through these organizations.
All right, Vince, Sohrab, and Kevin, we got to leave it there, but please come back again soon.
Thanks,
Have a great
Shannon.
weekend.
Thanks a lot.
You too.